Good afternoon, Dr. Peck.
Good afternoon.
If you could introduce yourself with who you are and how long you've been a client of Silken's.
My name's Sheldon Peck. I'm an orthodontist in Syracuse, Utah. That's been my main location for the last 20, almost 23 years.
Wow.
Um, I went to school at undergrad at Utah State, went to Ohio State University for dental school. Then I went to University of Washington for a general practice residency. And after that, I went to Virginia Commonwealth University for my orthodontic training. So I've been board certified orthodontist for 23-ish years now. And I currently work just out of one location and I work 12 days a month. So um, I have an associate that we got about 3 years ago. I was tired of being really tired at the end of the day. So getting an associate has been a really good thing for me. And I am married of almost 31 years to an amazing woman. And I have 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. And my third son right now is serving a mission in um, just south of Tokyo, but in the Tokyo South Mission in Japan. I have a daughter that's still in high school, and my other two are one's finished college, the other one's getting ready to finish college. So one's getting ready to start working on his master's degree. But that's kind of pretty much my introduction, I guess, professionally. I love to ski, mountain bike, road bike. I've done the Ironman. I love to be active outside, and I don't know. That's about it.
That that's a perfect introduction. So you really lead a diverse lifestyle. That's for sure.
Yep.
How, how has being a client of Silken's helped you to lead that diverse lifestyle and be able to essentially lead the diverse lifestyle?
Yeah. For about 2 years into practice, I had been working, I had started my own practice and I had been working for another orthodontist in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And I'd go over there for about a week, a month. For about 2.5 years, I did that. And my practice had grown, but not like, not what I would think that it should have grown. And one day I received a cold call from someone from Silken, and it
Mm.
was Hollander Consultants at the time, and I I hardly ever answer those calls, but for whatever reason, I answered the call, and I found myself answering, confirming the questions that they were asking me, and if I was having problems with this or if I understood this, and all of it. I was realizing really quickly, I'm like, I don't know very much at all about running a practice. And
Mm.
they had talked to me about, they said, really what you're doing is you got the skills going to school for those 12 years. You got the skills to know how to do 1/7 of what goes on in a practice. And they said, we have the tools to help you with the other 6/7 of the practice, how to run an effective practice. At the time, my practice was running at about a 65% overhead. I was working 16 to 18 days a month. Um, my practice was, you know, just just flailing a little bit. I mean, I was trying to pay off debts and just not really knowing what to do. We didn't have any discipline in the office. I'd have staff that would finish seeing what they thought was the end of their morning patients, and then they'd go home and take a nap, not check out with anyone, not do anything, not sterilize. They just go home. And so there was very little discipline. But when I found myself, I sat down and talked with a guy named Joe Postner, who came out to kind of go through the numbers and evaluate the practice. And pretty soon, my wife, who was way more astute than I am, she said we should do this. And here I found myself writing a check for half of the amount to start with Silken program, and then I put the other half on a credit card, thinking I hope this works because I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. And within about 2 to 3 months, we started in September. We went up and did some training in Oregon. at their headquarters at the time. You know, most of the trainings were in person at the time. So we went up there and we did the training, and then we trained ourselves, our office manager, and then a little while later we trained a new office manager. But we started making changes in the practice, and it took us a few years to really hone in and kind of understand and just kind of learn everything, you know, all the technology that there is out there for to be able to become a much better practitioner. And so we really started honing in 5%. And now we have an overhead that sits down at around 35%. And we don't do that by cheating our employees or by using cheap stuff from, you know, from China. We use high quality bands and brackets from 3M Unitech. We have, you know, the scanners, the 3D, you know, 3D X-ray equipment. Everything's nice in the practice. We don't skimp, but what we do is we pay attention to the numbers and we manage our practice by statistics. If things
Mm.
start going down, Silken's given us the tools to be able to reverse that. And if we feel like we need to slow things down, we, you know, or even things out, we know how to do that. If we feel like we're seeing patients too many times to be able to get the results we need, we have the tools to go in and evaluate where there's excess in those appointments. We call it DevT, or developed unnecessary traffic. We go in and we try to eliminate DevT on all the lines that we have, all those lines of communication, all the processes that we have going on in the practice. And it's just helped us organize to such a way that instead of working, you know, 16 to 18 days a month, I work 12 days a month. I see, instead of seeing, you know, 100 patients a day when I'm here, we've organized it to where I see about 70 to 80 patients a day, and now do it with an associate. So it makes it so things are well controlled, and it allows us to train staff well. It allows us to, they help us hire the right staff through the tests that they do.
Mm.
And pretty much it's made it, and it's also made it so that extra money has made it so I could have retired probably in my early 40s, but I enjoy what I do, and it's taken so much of the stress out of running a practice that I figure I can go until my body tells me it's, you know, that it doesn't want to do orthodontics anymore. But
I've completed training, which is part of the executive and the owner system, some of which is management by statistics, CO1, executive basics, and formulas for business success. How has that changed the way that you've managed your practice and worked in your practice?
I think mostly it's helped me to understand that I have control. You know, that I really, through looking at statistics, I can take and make course corrections along the way. And the Silken training has given me control to understand like what to do in
Mm.
those situations, not just to go, oh, well, it's just because of outside factors. It's helped me to understand what factors I can control and what I can't.
Mm.
And you know, and it's the other thing is organizationally. It's, you know, it's helped us put together the organization of the practice, and understand that you need to have kind of sub managers throughout your practice to make things successful. And the line of communication goes through those sub managers to the CEO, and the CEO is who makes policy and drives that policy down through the management. So those kind of things are just things, the communication skill, or the tone skill, is something that really helps out in talking with staff. You know, if you have, you know, if you kind of have a bad vibe going on in the office, it helps you with tools to be able to change that vibe and talk to people about kind of where they're at, and give a visual to them on um, what you need to do to be able to uh, make changes along the way. So those are the kind of things that, I mean, there's so many things and it's become so much part of what we do. But the one thing that I really feel like that training did was it got rid of my fear like the fear that goes on with practicing and not being able to be as successful as you might want to be. It gets rid of that fear, and it replaces it with faith, or your ability to go, oh yeah, I can do that. So instead of practicing on that scarcity side, now I practice on the abundance side. So
That's really awesome. Now, I know that a lot of these tools are tools that doctors feel that they may naturally have, or are tools where you go, oh, I know I can Google how to be an executive, or I can Google how to manage using statistics, or I can use Chat GPT for this potentially. And there's a lot of there's a lot of information out there. Why would you say doing the training of Silken is important, or how is important for a person?
yeah, I think that function of, I mean, there's a famous individual that once said, this guy named Thomas Monson, he said, where performance is measured, performance improves. Where performance is measured and reported, it improves exponentially. And I feel like the Silken is like that, that you are not only reporting things, but that you're actually, you're actually, or sorry, not only tracking things, but you're returning and reporting, and then you're looking over those numbers deeply, and your consultant is looking over them as well, and they are looking at them, and sometimes they will catch things that I didn't catch, even though I feel like after doing this for over 20 years, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on how to run a successful practice. But it
Mm.
never ceases to amaze me when I have my quarterly meetings with my consultant for 45 minutes, that there's something that we always look at, and we're like, oh yeah, I need to address that. I need to look at that, if it's my recall system, or the number of new patient calls going down, or bonds, whatever it is. They help me look at that and make improvements. So
Awesome. Thank you. Now, what advice would you give to other practice owners who are looking to grow and improve their practice?
yeah, every time I talk to someone who's, interested in possibly using a consultant, I mean, I have numerous friends that have gone through the Silken program, and all of them have seen a huge benefit in their practices. So, I mean,
Mm.
first of all, they get results. I mean, that's bottom line. You get results. Second of all, you can find a lot of information on the internet, but the question is implementation. That's my problem is, there's so much information out there, but for me, honing in on what information is important, and what information is usable, and what information do I not want to go through, and what's not useful. And so to me, I feel like that training has gone through and taken out a lot of the dev tea, and just cut down to the basics and say, these are the things that will help you be successful in a practice. Now, do I do all of them perfectly? No. Do I have my own way of doing some things? Yes. Um, do I sometimes I tend to be, we have policy, but I will say, that purpose is higher than policy, which, is a famous, quote from Silken, is that purpose is higher than policy. And we have to remember why we're here, and sometimes that policy may need to be adjusted, or, thrown out for that one, whatever situation to make things work. But in general, I just feel like it's taken out a lot of the guesswork on how to run a successful practice.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last question that I have is, are there any things that you wish you'd known earlier in your journey that would have made a difference as a practice owner, either in using Silken or just in general?
Yeah. Um, it's hard to know, because I've been so long with Silken that that's how my mind works and is wired. As I think about when someone tells me about a problem in their practice, and they're like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's easy." I just, because I've done it for so long, it just feels natural to me. But I am glad that I started my practice and I had a little time without, because I now can look back and really evaluate what a huge blessing it was. And I can look at my statistics, which we have for the whole time. I know exactly every year where my overhead was at, my income. I mean, it's, like, because I look at those numbers so tightly. And, you know, the ability to understand those numbers and be able to look back and look at the blessing of having a good consultant. And I've probably, I don't know if we caught this earlier because there was a glitch in our system here, but I've probably only spent maybe $120,000 in the whole time, and I continue to get training and I continue to retrain. And I'm like, oh
Mm,
yeah, I forgot about that principle. But there are several consultants out there that you can spend 100 grand every year with, and you're not
mm,
going to get the same kind of and you're not going to get the same kind of results with those consultants. But you're also, like, a lot of times the information that they give you is just canned, and it's not specific to you as an individual and how you want to do things. The thing that I really liked with Silken is when we first sat down with our consultant Dave McKevitt, he's like, what's your ideal scene? He said this to my wife, and I'm like, well, what do you mean ideal scene? He's like, what do you want now? What do you want in 5 years from now? What do you want in 10 years from now? What do you want your practice to look at? And just know that you can kind of set up what you think you want now, and you
mm,
reevaluate every year, and you can make adjustments and say, oh, that's what I thought I wanted, but maybe this is really what I want. And that, putting down those principles, spending a whole day putting down the principles of what we thought we would like. We wanted a practice that worked 12 days a month, that I never had to take a dentist out to lunch for asking for referrals, because we would do such good work and have such good communication lines with them that they would want to send their patients anyway. That we would have patients, parents, and family members of staff that would want to refer their friends and family our way. So we would do such excellent work that we would do that. But more important than the excellent work was that we would treat those individuals with love. So in a
mm,
way that they want to refer their friends and family. And by doing this, I mean, I've never been on Facebook or Instagram or anything else like that, but people tell me all the time that they come in because they put out there on Facebook or Instagram, hey, who's a good orthodontist to go to? And our name always is at the top. And
mm.
or 9 out of 10 times is at the top. Or, I mean, I love that we've been able to create that through some of the principles that we've been taught with Silken, because it's really like it's a lot of pressure for me to to go out to lunch with dentists and to set that up. It's a lot of pressure for me, whatever. And I have lots of good relationships with friends that are dentists, but I just don't want to
Mm,
feel pressured to always feel like I'm like begging for referrals. I want,
mm.
I want to be what we do and who we are and how we treat people to be the impetus for people coming to us. And I don't want to have to go out to spend a lot of money on advertising. We spend less than 1% on advertising, and most of that's to sports teams and school little projects around. We just don't spend money on advertising, yet we have a very busy, robust practice. And it's gone through the ups and downs of economy, the ups and downs of COVID, just fine. And we haven't had any problems, and we continue to grow. And that's what I love about the information that's been given to me from Silken.
That's really awesome. Well, thank you for your time. And I think I love the last part the most, because it's really great that you've taken the principles, and you mentioned in the beginning, I think you're working 18 days a month or however many days a month, and that your 5-year goal or 10-year goal with Dave was to work 12 days a month and be able to have a stress-free environment. And you definitely do have that, and you have your associate producing, and you've got such a well-oiled practice that people just naturally come to your practice. So I think that's just really, really awesome and commendable
A
too.
huge blessing for sure. So
And
I
I
definitely don't attribute all that to me, I mean, to any one individual, but I do attribute a lot of that to having a good team,
mm,
a good consultant, hiring good people, being able to set up and establish something that is fun to come to every day.
I mean that is exactly that. You've taken different systems and you've got different areas of the practice that you really put attention on, and you've created it to be the best functioning practice, essentially.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. It was lovely meeting with you,
Yeah,
and
no problem.
definitely look forward to seeing you in the next set of training or seeing your next set of results.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Yeah, appreciate
also,
it.